Hey everybody, welcome back, and this is Story Time with Primo. What is this about? This is where we prove or disprove all your famous car stories. So hopefully I don't ruin anybody's childhood here, but you know, some of these stories have existed forever. You hear them. A lot of people will say, yeah, that really did happen. Truth is, hardly any of it actually did. So before we start, just make sure you like and subscribe, hit any kind of the follow things, hit the little buttons, hit the whatever you have to do. We're on like so many platforms right now, I can't keep up with this stuff, but thank you regardless for viewing. So I like to get right into this. The first one is going to begin, the story is in 1978, and the Pontiac division of General Motors, which received an unusual letter. And just to let you know, a lot of these stories are very long. You're going to see me reading them because there's no way I would remember all these things. They're very cool stories, though. So, yeah, 1978, the Pontiac division of General Motors receives a rather unusual letter. The letter reads, "You're going to think I'm crazy, but please hear me out. My family loves ice cream, and every night the kids take turns picking a flavor. I drive to the store to get it. Now, here's the weird part. I recently brought one of your new Pontiacs, and I swear, every time I buy vanilla ice cream, the car won't start. If I buy chocolate, strawberry, anything else, it starts just fine. I know this sounds ridiculous, but something about this car does not like vanilla. Please help." At first, the customer service team chuckled, but GM had a policy. Every customer complaint had to be investigated. It's a good policy. And they sent an engineer, and to the engineer's surprise, the car's owner turned out to be a perfectly reasonable, well-spoken guy. So basically, he's not a nutcase. The car looks all together, so there's nothing done to the car that would make it unusual. And the tech was looking forward to figuring out what this problem was. Together, they drive to the grocery store and pick up vanilla ice cream, and sure enough, when they returned to the car, it wouldn't start. They completed tests several times. Strawberry, no problem. Chocolate, no problem. Smooth as silk. Vanilla, car's dead. The engineer wasn't ready to believe this car had a grudge against vanilla, so he started analyzing everything. Time of day, fuel levels, ambient temperatures, even parking spots. Finally, a clue. The store layout itself. See, vanilla ice cream, being the most popular flavor, was stocked right near the front in a cooler, while the other flavors are stored in the back, much deeper in the store in a different fridge. When the customer bought vanilla, the round trip was much faster, and when he added it up after a couple of times, the vanilla trip was in minutes of difference. It was a faster trip when he picked up vanilla. And the quick turnaround, the time turned out to be the key, and the engine was still hot, and a flaw which allowed a vapor lock to form in the carburetor. So basically air bubbles form evaporated gases, and they were keeping the fuel from flowing properly. And that flaw, he realized, would be shared with all the other models. So thanks to this customer's love of vanilla, GM engineers discovered a design flaw they missed in testing. What started out sounding like a joke turned into an engineering breakthrough, all because an engineer took the time to listen to the customer. And yes, the car eventually got fixed, but to this day, it's known inside GM as the vanilla ice cream case. So did this really happen? And we did a lot of research with this, and some believe it did happen, while there is kind of an objective ideology that it was just a tale. So it's like a story, and it's meant to teach a lesson. So in early renditions of the story, things flipped. So it was different versions we picked up of the story. The vanilla would be at the front of the store. The next it would be at the back of the store. And the more we went on looking at stories, the more older the story became. So instead of 73, it was, 1940s or whatever. So it would start getting earlier and earlier in time. The real moral of the story is, if you will, that I'm sure if you still reference it today, that it is what it's used for, is to pay attention to customers no matter how crazy things sound, and to remember the details no matter how small. And this was really directed at the engineering team of GM. And I wouldn't doubt if it's the kind of story that would get brought up today, probably from some engineer, not just with GM, with anybody, to say, you got to look at the little small things. And sometimes these crazy stories, they're not as crazy as you think. And it's how we work things out. A customer that's complaining about a complaint, maybe that complaint is not actually the complaint that's the problem, but if they're having a problem, to pay attention to them. And it's just good customer satisfaction. So it's a sort of no stone unturned ideal, which is, I think it's a great way of thinking for anybody. And it's not just an engineer. So I think this story, and the reason I don't hear it as much now, I just received it again about a week ago. And the reason I think this kind of fell out of behavior, out of favor from everybody using it, is because I think the story itself kind of is hard to believe now. Most people can't even fathom the idea of a house call, but that is actually what happened back in the day. Company engineers, especially in the very, very early days of cars, would come out to actually inspect people's real cars. They were developing new vehicles. In fact, in the 60s, that was something that was big for like Lamborghini was, you go to the house of the guy, you make sure that they have the VIP experience. It probably is the reason why they had problems making money, because they were sending these texts out all the time. But the point is that, yeah, they would send out real texts from real companies. And if you think about it today, even big brands like Bugatti and, some of these one-off cars, probably like the AMG 11 and Porsche 918, they're going to send a tech that's specific. Even the SLRs, Mercedes SLR, was a car that I remember the tech showing up to go, who are you? Well, I'm the SLR tech. And he comes out, and he was a friend of mine, and he would just fix the car for the perk customer, and then he'd go on with life. He came from Mercedes. So yeah, now that's very hard for people to even imagine. And it's, at this point, it's kind of become a story of legend. And it's really impossible to truly fact check if that situation happened. But I would definitely put it in the plausible category. It is believable. And so just like Aesop's fables is really where these come from. It's to embrace the moral of the story and learn from the example, and hopefully it helps you become a better person. If anybody out there has any facts on this or anything I left off, please put them in any sort of comments or any of the quotation sections to let me know, because I would really love to know more about this story. It was really kind of hard to research because you can't really call the company and go, hey, did you guys actually do this? Is there any sort of written topic, or does it come up in trainings anymore? Obviously, one of the things that came up with us was actually training. So it was something that says, do people still use it? Absolutely. And it's usable today to teach a very important lesson. So, yeah. So that's it for story time today. This has been Primo. We're going to see you next time. Remember, if you have any stories, put them in the comments. I'd love to look them up. I already have one loaded up for the next time. We'll see you next week. And as always, Excelsior.